Democratic socialism, what it is and what it is not. Democratic socialism is a humane alternative to both brutal communism that existed in places like the former Soviet Union and China, and to the crony capitalism that exists in much of the Western world even to this day. Democratic socialists are not communists, and we're not fascists. We believe in real democracy, and our contribution toward the advancement of humankind during the 20th century made our world a better place. Although the struggle for social and economic justice has not been fully realized as of yet, socialism for sure has made a positive impact in both advanced capitalist democracies, the third world, and one can even say that the decline of communism took place as a result of democratic socialism. I guess historians will have to debate that latter point. As an American, there's even a modest movement for socialism that took place here during the 20th century. And to put things in a historical context, because that is the way to explain socialism, especially in this video here, and I will elaborate in further videos. We have to put it in a historical context. Although socialism existed prior to the end of World War II, I like to use Great Britain, Israel, Portugal, South Africa, and the United States for historical context. In 1889, an international organization called the Socialist International, or the Second International as it's known, became a worldwide federation of democratic, socialist, social democratic, and labor parties. Yep, it's a worldwide federation for groups like the British Labour Party, the French Socialist Party, the German Social Democrats, the New Democratic Party of Canada, the Socialist Workers' Party of Spain, the Socialist Party in Portugal, the Democratic Left in Italy, New Democratic Party in Canada, you know, all around the world. Many advanced democracies, even third world countries, have a labor or social democratic party representing workers, the trade union movement. World War II. At the end of World War II, Great Britain, were in economic ruins. They had a large empire to maintain, and it was very expensive. And the people were tired, and they wanted a better life. So there was an election in 1945, and Winston Churchill, even as a socialist, I would say Winston Churchill was a great man. But the people elected the British Labour Party, and Deputy Prime Minister Clement Attlee became the Prime Minister of Great Britain. And from 1945 to 1951, Great Britain decided to do away with their empire, and they worked from becoming the world's most capitalist country toward a path of democratic socialism. Clement Attlee wanted to create a socialist commonwealth. So what socialist things happened between 1945 and 1951? Trade unionists, their power, they started to have more power, more of a say in the economy. Full employment became a reality, with selective nationalization of coal, iron, steel, long-distance trucking, rail, gas, electricity. And in 1948, the creation of the National Health Service, which exists to this day in Great Britain. Not even Margaret Thatcher, with all her faults, dared to touch the National Health Service, which made medical care free for all people, every man, woman, and child in Great Britain. As a result, since 1948, have free access to medical care. The State of Israel was created in 1948. And it was created because prior to 1948, decades prior, a lot of Jewish people from mostly Europe, some from America, settled in camps called kibbutz, purchased land, and lived communally. And basically, while Great Britain rebuilt a nation after World War II, Israel built a nation. The Jews created a nation through socialism. So Israel has a socialist history. And Golda Meir, David Ben-Gurion, both were socialists. Labour Party ruled Israel from 1948, I believe, till 1977. And I wish they'll come back in power. That's another issue for another time. Portugal. In 1974, Portugal became a democracy because socialist factions within the Portuguese military formed a armed forces movement to confront and demand that the fascist government be gone. There was a military standoff between the government and the armed forces movement, and the armed forces movement won, and it peacefully toppled the fascist government that Antonio Salazar set up back in the 1920s. And Portugal is now a mature democracy because of the socialists. South Africa. During this racist apartheid period, blacks and whites, under the banner of the African National Congress, worked together for racial equality. Just as Americans, blacks and whites alike, during the days of MLK, Martin Luther King, worked for racial equality, they were doing the same thing in South Africa long after the death of Martin Luther King here. And finally, in 1990, Nelson Mandela was freed. 1994, apartheid was officially abolished. Today, South Africa is a multiracial democracy. The United States, we've had a movement in the past. The old Socialist Party, Eugene Victor Debs and Norman Thomas. From 1901 till the time of the New Deal, the Socialist Party were a force to be reckoned with in America. It was the third largest party in many respects. And things such as the 8-hour workday, workers' comp, Social Security, workplace regulation, Medicare, which came about later on, all the reforms for the New Deal, FDR's New Deal, and LBJ's Great Society drew inspiration out of the Socialist Party of America. And the Socialist Party of America was anti-communist. We believe in the Constitution. We believe in the American way, and we believe that Americanism and socialism can complement one another. Sadly, the Socialist Party of America dwindled and split into 3 different organizations, all claiming the heritage of Eugene V. Debs, Norman Thomas, and I will go into that later on. The closest thing we have to a socialist movement today is the one voice in Washington, D.C. that represents workers truthfully outside the two-party system, and that is U.S. Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont, a tireless crusader for economic justice, civil liberties, against war. And folks, what I have described to you is our movement. And I am proud to be part of this movement. I'm proud to embrace this movement. I am proud to be against all forms of tyranny. In the words of Tommy Douglas, the leader of the New Democratic Party of Canada when he was alive, He said that I would never trade one form of tyranny for another. That meant he opposed communism and capitalism. And true socialists are opposed to communism and capitalism. We do not endorse the bloody murder of 100 million people in the 20th century. That's the crime of communism. We do not represent that at all. We want nothing to do with it. And some on the right today want to claim that, oh, socialism and Nazism are the same, which is absolute rubbish. Hitler persecuted the left. Mussolini persecuted the left. Any fascist states that come into power, when the fascists are in power, the first people they go after are always the left. So, I am here to refute that myth that socialism and Nazism are the same. No, they're not. Socialism is not Nazism. Socialism is not communism. Socialism is what it is. It's different from capitalism. It's different from communism. It's different from fascism. It's different from theocracy, monarchies. Socialism is about freedom. Thank you for your time, and hopefully we'll talk more on this subject later on.